Hey, what is going on? It is Monday after school, so I'm hoping I can still see straight. Hope you're not too tired. Monday, man, what a day. So, we might get interrupted by some announcements. I think everybody's out of the building. Who knows? I just had some peanuts, so who knows? I might choke on some peanuts as I'm trying to read this stuff, but hopefully we had that good class discussion on what went on the day before. We're reading this on Tuesday. I mentioned in each class, I believe, hey, he's starting to see these visions more and more. Did they mess up? You remember, he was able to text the police just fine. And then after that, it got a little worse. So maybe we will see something come up about that in our reading. I don't think we have to worry about any kissing or anything like that. So, or too much of it at least. If you remember the last thing we read, it was basically like she just so happened to find herself in front of the Humane Society. So right there in the blue. By the time I've walked an hour, I realized I'm not far from the Humane Society. I hesitate at the door and go inside, look around, but I don't see Sawyer. The employees are busy with adoption, so I wander into the dog room and look at all of them. Some begging for love, others having given up, others still faking it, pretending they don't need anybody. And I see myself in all those dogs. Now, this gets a little weird here, but top of the next column, 5 weird thoughts I've had in my life that I would never admit to having. One, that one. So having weird thoughts, she wouldn't admit that. 2, that I'm not really me, but I'm sort of just floating above myself, watching my body do things. 3, that there's something really stable and comforting about hoarding. Oh no, hopefully that's not foreshadowing. It's like, oh, she can see herself doing that one day. 4, I've had this one, that there's probably an opposite me somewhere in the parallel universe doing everything right. And my job on Earth is to make her look good by messing everything up. So we're not going to talk too much at all today about like the multiverses or whatever, but or the infinite amount of galaxies there might be out there. But there are some scientists who theorize that there's just like an infinite number of us doing an infinite amount of things in the universe. And it just kind of boggles at least my mind. Number 5, that monster spray secretly invites more monsters to hide under the bed rather than repels them. I don't remember that being talked about at all here. Like, did her parents? Now, I've heard of some parents. So if they have kids that are scared of monsters, they have this, like, I don't know, fake spray gets rid of monsters. I don't remember her ever telling us a story about. Maybe she did in book 1. But if so, that's like a deep cut right there. And while I'm standing there thinking weird thoughts and watching this sweet looking boxer named Boris, and all the dogs are barking as loud as they can at me, and the other people walking through, I feel somebody's gaze boring into my skull. I turn around and there's oh, I was afraid of that, choking on some peanut dust in there. And there's Sawyer watching me through the wire mesh window to the cat room. He's got 2 black kittens crawling up his sweatshirt. He's just standing there with this amazingly sweet, kind look on his face. Top of the next column. I raised my hand in greeting, and he mouthed the words, "I love you." I smile and blush and weave my way back through the dog room to the lobby and into the cat room, because when a boy with 2 kittens says he loves you, you do whatever you can to get to him as quickly as possible. "Hey," I say. "You found me," he says. He pushes a lock of hair out of my eyes and looks away quickly. My heart sinks. Still with the vision in my eyes? Yeah, and all the kittens' eyes too. "Dude," I mutter, because I never had that. It was never that bad. "How'd you get here?" "Took the bus. There's no way I can drive." I study his face, and even excluding his black eye, he looks exhausted. And I know he's been keeping the intensity from me. Sawyer, I just don't understand. The times when it got really bad for me were when I had things wrong or the crash was imminent. I just don't know why it's not letting up on you when we're making progress. We're figuring things out. And then we both stare at each other. Top of the next column. Sawyer says it first. Maybe we have things wrong. My heart clutches. Or maybe it's imminent. Okay, he says a bad word there. But it can't be. There are hardly any students on campus. It's spring break. Yes, but they've got to come back sometime before classes start Monday. You mean like today or tomorrow? But who would be using those buildings? Sawyer puts the kittens back into their cage and goes to the next cage, pulling a single gray kitten out and handing it to me. He reaches in for another one. A blue tortie? Never heard that word tortie, but it must be a type of cat, according to the label on the door, and cradles it. I don't know. But colleges aren't like high schools, are they? I mean, they might have meetings. He strokes the kitten's back and it mews and tries to bite his thumb. Sawyer readjusts the kitten and gazes down at it, then back at me. Can you try a search to find out? I've got my laptop with me, but I'm scheduled here until 2 today. And, I mean, he's probably not going to be able to see it anyway, right? Sure, there's got to be Wi-Fi around here somewhere. Meet me back here at 2? I nod. We put the kittens back in their cage, and he whispers, I'm scared. Top of the next column. My spine tingles, and not in a good way. Me too. I whisper back. I return at 2 with no information on any classes meeting this weekend, but with a lot more info about U of C, University of Chicago, and a possible clue to the actual motivation of the shooters. I think we need to go back to the campus. I say, like, now. There has to be a clue, something. What's Trey doing today? Working? He and Rowan are at that food truck festival. Sawyer washes his hands at the sink, says goodbye to the other volunteers and employees. We walk out. After work tonight, he says, and then he frowns and shakes his head. No, I don't. He pulls out his phone. He dials and waits. I'm taking the weekend off. He says in a dull voice, a voice I've never heard. Yeah, well, if you make me come in, I'm telling everybody who asks how I got this black eye. Now, hang on, we can talk about this for a second because there were a couple classes, I know at least 2, that said Jules should blackmail. Looks like Sawyer is taking a page out of the blackmail book right there. Huh? Hey, you give me a hard time about coming in? Tell everybody how I got this black eye. He listens for a second, right below that blue there. He listens for a second and then with no emotion says, fire me then. I don't really care. He hangs up. Jesus, he says. As we reach the bus stop, his face gray and dead. I can't deal with this. I really can't. I know. I mean it, Jules. He rakes his fingers through his hair and cusses under his breath. My family is a mess. The visions, gunshots are killing me. I don't have anything left. He swears again. He jams his fingers into the corner of his eyes and lets out a shuddering breath. And then he turned toward me. I wrap my arms around him, feel his shoulders tremble. He can't stop. I mean, what the hell are we supposed to do? We're teenagers. We have no weapons or magical powers here. What are we going to do, Jules? Can you tell me, please? Because we are going to blanking get our heads blown off. No, we're not. And today is the day we figure it out. Right now. You and me. And we're not going home until we know what's happening. He sniffs and clears his throat like he doesn't want me to see his emotion. But I understand. Tears. Especially about this. Hell, I wish all guys could just cry and not have it be such a big, stupid deal. Shed a tear, be a man, whatever. But I guess when you live in a house where your father and your grandfather beat the crap out of you, maybe you have a different mindset on that topic. Top of the next column. We get on the bus, trying to figure out where to pick up the transfer that will take us to U of C, And then I open Sawyer's laptop and click on one of the tabs of the web pages I left open. I show Sawyer the history of the school and its beginnings, involving John D. Rockefeller, Marshall Field, and what I think is the most interesting fact that I didn't know before, the American Baptist Education Society. I point out the highlights. So it's this private college with that big Rockefeller chapel we saw, started by Baptists, yet totally secular from the beginning. So anytime you hear secular, think not religious at all, I think. The dorms have co-ed floors. Co-ed? Anybody know that word? Oh, it says it right there, I think. Maybe I got rid of it too fast. If nobody came up with it, it means just like, you know, like boys and girls are living on the same floor. And there's a strong LGBT community. Sawyer looks puzzled. I'm not getting why any of this matters to the shooting. Rowan said something off the cuff the other day. She wondered what the motivation of the shooters might be. I couldn't stop thinking about it. And if you think about what happened here last week with the graffiti and what the workers told you about the protest over equal rights and the defaced stop sign that Trey found, it's pretty obvious that somebody's upset with the school or some of the organizations in it, and that's something to do with equality. So top of the next column, there's a word there that I'm not going to say. I'm guessing that it's gay rights that are being protested. Okay, but hang on. I say, looking up and realizing it's time to transfer. We change buses and keep reading. Sawyer sets his phone up to be a Wi-Fi hotspot so I can get online on his computer, and he can search for more news on his phone, but it's no use for him. His screen is just a medium for the vision. He leans back and closes his eyes. I don't know how many more piles of dead bodies I can see before I lose it completely, Jules. He says, what are we doing wrong? I pull up the Wikipedia page for UFC. Normally, I don't trust Wikipedia, but this page has a bunch of great photographs, so I browse through them. I locate several of the buildings we saw on the main quadrangle and study them. I locate several of the and study them. There's a ton of great detail about the insides of the building, too. Stuff, top of the next column, I never expected to find. Hey, I say, looking over. Sawyer's eyes are closed. His head nodding against the window, sleeping. Thank dog. I have a feeling he's going to need it. I go back to scouring headlines. What I find next stops my breath. Dun, dun, dun. That would be an absolutely great place to stop. But, we're at 13 minutes. We could stop. Some in the class, I'm sure, like, no, don't stop. Just a little bit more. And I'm sure there are some people in class like, I don't care. Stop. Don't stop. Doesn't matter to me. Let's go. Let's go. One more couple pages here. I'll turn the page, get it back up here. Chapter 32. I can't help it. I have to wake him. He blinks and looks around like he forgot where he was. I found something, I say, jiggling my foot impatiently. Whoa, he says. Power nap. The sleep confusion clears and his face grows concerned. What is it? Top of the next column. I turn the computer screen towards him. Can you see? Yeah, at the moment. So, hey, little inference there. If he can see now, that might be a good thing. Cool, look here. Where I researched other local news and protests, I say, clicking over to the other tab, there's that local cult preacher dude who always hangs out by Water Tower Place. You know the one, right? Same guy as always. Anyway, he's been shouting about gays taking over the government again. He's been ragging on UFC lately because their rights groups have been picketing the guy. See this article. A call to arms goes too far. Free speech at all costs? ? The dude has been riling up his followers, saying God wants his cult to get rid to rid the country of homosexuality, and that the local Chicago universities are the heart of the nation's problems and the leaders of this so-called gay uprising. I look up. Isn't that insane? Sawyer takes it all in. There's a lot of insanity these days, he mutters. So you think our shooters are some outsider cult followers of the raging lunatic coming to campus to do God's will? I don't know. All right, that might be a good place for us to stop. So at least, I don't know. It might have something to do with that. Just people, they called him a lunatic. You know, people kind of on the fringe of society, they think the whole world is going to pieces, and they got to blame somebody. And it seems like this cult or this religious leader is blaming people who are gay. All right, good place for us to stop. The fact that he can see screens now might mean they are heading in the right direction. All right, more Armenian genocide, unfortunately. See ya. Adios, amigos.